Good evening. Welcome to the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners October meeting. So tonight we're going to have a relatively short agenda. Chief Grogan supplied a written report of the fire activity for the month. Assistant Chief, would you like to present it, or would you, or we have a short, I'll present it. For the monthly fire activity report supplied by Chief Grogan, total alarms were 302. We had mutual aid 3 occasions where we provided mutual aid, and once we received mutual aid. We had the Fire Academy started on September 22nd. We enrolled 5 probies into the Fire Academy. We had one gentleman resign from the class. He was very graceful about it, we just decided to move on. And so we currently have 4 members in the Academy. And that's it for the month. Looks like a fairly uneventful month. We had one piece of apparatus that had to go to a local service station to have brake repairs on car 208, which was accomplished. And the other equipment is being serviced by Ruscom Truck Service. So, and then the chief supplied the alarms and the times and the amount of those alarms. And the mutual aid, looks like we went to Mount Vernon on 3 occasions. So that's it for the chief's report. Moving on to the John Molzari is not here with us this evening. I have the treasurer's report. A copy has been supplied to the board. It's the standard package. John provides us with always a month-over-month breakdown of where the money was spent, where it was allocated, a bank reconciliation, actual versus budgeted, and that all appears to be in order. So I will put the Treasury report aside, and the members have it, and that's available to the public if anybody would like a copy. John also wanted to remind us that last month the board approved a proposed budget. The proposed budget calls for a reduction of roughly 0.75% on the fire district's tax levy. So the 2015 proposed budget will be slightly less than the 2014 by 0.75%. We achieved savings basically from the New York State pension system is asking us to contribute less, and that was part of the overall reduction. Also, we had we have a reduction from hiring these new firefighters. They started a lesser pay than a senior firefighter, so we have a savings there. There's a reduction in overtime. Since we have 9 new hires and will be at full ranks, we believe that the overtime will be a savings. We've also put in the budget monies the board put in monies in the budget, or set aside monies in the budget, even though we're 0.75% lower next year than this year, to hire a consultant to look at our firehouses, and particularly Chester Heights, and determine what it would take to cost to fix that firehouse and do a capital improvement plan. So that's the highlights of the 2015 proposed budget. We going to have a budget hearing on October 21st in this room, Bronxville Village Hall, at 7:30 Tuesday night, where we can modify or change the budget, but it has to go lower. There was one comment I will share with the board. I received from the fire inspector today. He would like to see a line in the budget for overtime for his department because he does a lot of times when they need to go inspect schools, it's on weekends, or school events are on weekends and that type of thing. So he was looking for $14,000 to be funded in the budget from that line. We would have to take it from another line if we were to do that. Or we could just break out the overtime line and segregate $14,000 from that line for fire prevention, which is probably practical.
I would say let's do that.
So I think we'll ask the treasurer to include an extra line and move $14,000 to fire prevention from the overtime budget.
The general overtime fund
budget.
for overtime for fire prevention.
Overtime for fire prevention, because one of the focuses at the board, and members can chime in, now that we're getting a lot of this accounting and operational stuff done, I think the focus is we want to focus on the efforts that fire preventions have made over the past year, or 2 or 3 years in fire prevention, where we're more proactive, bringing them out to these meetings, and maybe they can present and tell us what they have going on in town. And so that will require some overtime. But I think it's important that people see the work that fire prevention's doing and hear about their walk through the schools and what they're finding when they walk through the schools. And that, I think it's important, because that's been one of the major roles of the fire department, is make sure the schools are safe, and we're there inspecting them. And so having them more involved in this department, in these presentations, I think is important.
Yeah, doesn't that sort of kind of impact on the ISO numbers also?
Yes, and the ISO numbers we got today, I got last week, I haven't had a chance to fully read it, but our score for our insurance rating has improved slightly over the last one from 10 years ago. So that will hopefully lower people's, our fire public classification now is 02. A highest score would be 01. 01 would be 100 to 90 rating. 80 to 90 is an 02, and it scales down from there. We are at an 02 rating. They apparently have a new rating scheme of how they do this. I haven't fully studied it, but what we will do is, since I only opened it up today, we'll scan it, we'll send it out, make it available to everybody who wants to read it, and there are clearly, we could improve slightly or improve somewhat, and so we'll try to do that for the next one, which is probably 8 or 10 years down the road. The next one, I don't think they do them every 7, 10 years.
I'm not sure to say.
Yeah, so, but it's a better score than we had in the past. So that's
What does that mean to the person at home?
what will happen. Most insurance companies use the scoring of these third-party scorers to determine your risk for fire insurance. And so your commercial fire insurance and residential fire insurance is based on your community and your score. And they look at your score on these ISO scores, and having a score of 2 is better than a 3, and it should lower your premiums. How closely that's monitored, I don't know, and whether your carrier is actually using that as a scoring system. But typically they are, and typically a higher score lowers your rates. So it's a good thing.
Good thing.
So, but getting back to the budget, we want to highlight the fact that our budget's going to be lower next year than it is this year. And and that's where we are. And we'll have a budget hearing on Tuesday, the 21st. I won't be here, but it should be a fairly brief meeting because the budget has been, I think, well advertised. And we have a copy of the budget is available in the village clerk's office of Bronxville, Tuckahoe, and the town clerk has a copy. Or we'll give you a copy. Or we'll give you a copy if you email us. And so I almost would think we should do a resolution so John will know to break up those lines.
Okay, I'll make
So-
a motion that
Then we move $14,000 from,
yeah, we specify, we move $14,000 from the general overtime fund and create a line item specifically for overtime for fire prevention.
and it's $14,000.
Right. Not just that it goes to $14,000 for fire prevention, but for overtime.
For that line, yes.
That line.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll tell John Molzari, the treasurer, to do that. Okay, so that's the treasurer's report. We have a set of minutes for the, and we have a phone call. Judging from that phone call, it's a hockey fan, so I'm going to turn that off.
Somebody scored
So,
the August meeting, August
So
special meeting.
we have an August special meeting minutes to approve. I look for a motion to approve the August 20th minutes.
Make that motion.
So
I'll second
Peter
it.
And England, Baker, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So, monthly treasurer's report, bank reconciliation, budget. For the fire commissioner's election, we have a fire commissioner's election coming up for Commissioner O'Hare, who's been on the board approximately 15 years, I believe it's 15 years, is going off the board this year. He's decided not to run again. Regardless, we would have a fire district election in December. We were hoping that these elections would be in November, but many people who follow the fire department, understand the legal quagmire we got in with Westchester County Board of Elections' unwillingness to change the election date for us, even though we had the law changed. So we have to conduct our own fire district election again this year in December. It'll come as a cost to us. We would much rather have it on the general election. But this December 9th, a Tuesday, we will have a fire district election. We have to pass a resolution authorizing Tom Andres to be the election chairman. I have to thank Tom greatly for signing up for this almost all volunteer post to do that. The compensation is extremely nominal. And thank him for being willing to do this again. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort. We run 5 polling places, and we retain about 50 people to be the poll watchers or consult. So it's a lot of effort. We currently have 5 locations. Does everybody agree we continue to run those 5 locations, or they are? I'll tell you what the locations are. Leroy Gregory, Eastchester Town Hall, Tuckahoe Community Center, Village of Bronxville, and Union Corners Fire Station, AKA Chester Heights. So continue with the 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Until we change to what we want to do, we might as well
Right.
just keep it the way it is.
So if anyone is interested for running for fire commissioner, you have until November 19th to submit a petition with 25 names on it of voters, and then your name will be on the ballot. So 25 names of voters on a petition. We'll give you the petition, or go to our website. It'll be on our website, eastchesterfd.com. So just go to eastchesterfd.com, and you will find a petition, or we'll give you one, or call, email, stop by the firehouse, we'll get you one. And then you can get on the board. It's or you get on the ballot. It's a 5-year position. So it's no compensation. The fire district covers Bronxville, Eastchester, and Tuckahoe. Just to be clear, Bronxville, Eastchester, Tuckahoe. 6 square miles, about 30,000 people reside in those 6 square miles, and we have about a $17 million budget. So that's what we are, pure public service. We need somebody to come forward and volunteer to do this. So please, if you have the free time, public service spirited, you want to do something different, you're retired, you want to find something different, or whatever, you just think you will have the time, please contact one of us, and we'll try to explain it to you. So with that, I have a resolution that needs to be read regarding the December 9th, 2014 election.
Well, I'd be honored to read that. It's a resolution appointing the Board of Elections, whereas Section 175-A of the Town Law provides for a system of registration for fire district elections, and whereas a register of eligible fire district voters must be prepared prior to the fire district election, and whereas such register shall be prepared from names of persons who have registered with the Westchester County Board of Elections. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the following resident electors of the Eastchester Fire District are hereby appointed to constitute the Eastchester Fire District Board of Elections for the 2014 annual Fire District election. Chairman of election, Tom Andrus. And be it further resolved that the Fire District's chairman of the election shall be compensated in the amount of $50 for his services, that the Board of Elections be compensated in the amount of $50 for their services in preparing the registration records, and that the following be appointed as election inspectors at the Fire District election to be held on Tuesday, December 9th, 2014, and that they be compensated in the amount of $50. List of inspectors, annual Fire District election, Tuesday, December 9th, 2014, from 2 to 9 p.m. Again, chairman of the election would be Tom Andrus. The election custodians would be Louise Alexander, Mary Andrus, Tom Andrus, Jenny Angelo, Karen. Okay, there's attached.
It's approximately
Yes.
50 names.
Okay. Be it further resolved that in case any of the members appointed herein are unable or refuse to assume or perform the duties required of them, this Board of Fire Commissioners will appoint alternates who are resident electors and reassign location as needed. After reading the resolution, the chairman offered a motion to adopt the resolution, which was seconded by. I make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now there's another resolution to participating the registration roll, to a resolution to prepare registration rolls and to set the election dates.
Okay. All right. There's a resolution for preparation of registration rolls. Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Eastchester Fire District, having heretofore appointed a Board of Elections to comply with the registration and voting procedures set forth in Section 175 and 175-A of the Town Law, does hereby designate the 24th day of November 2014 between the hours of 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. as the date and time of the meeting of the Board of Elections to prepare registration rolls for the annual election of the Eastchester Fire District. The Fire District election will be held on Tuesday, December 9th, 2014, between the hours of 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. at the following locations: Leroy Gregory American Legion Post number 979 at 40 Bell Road, Scarsdale; Eastchester Town Hall, 40 Mill Road, Eastchester, New York; Tuckahoe Community Center, 77 Columbus Avenue, Tuckahoe; the Bronxville Village Hall, where we are now, 200 Pondfield Road, Bronxville, New York; and Union Corners Fire Station, 10 Oregon Avenue, Eastchester, New York. Be it further resolved that a legal notice informing the resident electors of the Eastchester Fire District of this meeting be published one time by the Fire District Secretary in the official newspapers of the Eastchester Fire District between November 9th and November 14th, 2014. I hereby offer this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's it for the election, and except we need people to come forward. So, folks, if anybody out there would like to come forward, please do so. Any you gentlemen would like to lobby, for folks, would be great too. Any comments?
No, I just think it's important, it's part of the democratic process, and, people always sit there and say, well, what are those guys doing? Well, there's going to be a vacancy. Step up and make yourself heard.
Okay.
And you get to sit next to Peter.
Now we have committee reports. Mr. Baker, any?
Sure. Career firefighters. Well, we had a meeting set up, and then something came up in my job. And then when the next time we were going to have one, something came up with our fire representative. So we did not meet between the last meeting, but I'm sure that we will set something up shortly to meet before the next meeting. Is that correct? Okay. Unfortunately, Commissioner Napolitano is not here right now, so we can't set anything up. But we generally have pretty good communication between us, even if we're not meeting. And since we didn't have any major issues, I'm assuming everything's okay.
And the next down is volunteers. Mr. O'Hare's not here tonight, but is anything news there? There's no.
Well, I know we have a representative of the volunteers tonight who will speak. I do know that a potential volunteer contacted me, and I directed him to the meeting. I wasn't available to attend the last meeting, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened or if he went down. He said, I think his mother told me that he went down and they didn't have any paperwork for him or something. Maybe you can, if you know about it, when it comes up. But I know he's going to come back and try to attend. So slowly but surely we're getting a few people in, I guess. But other than that, I don't know of anything pressing going on.
Yep. And as far as this board goes, as far as attendance for those out there thinking they can join this board, it'd be nice to make as many meetings as possible, but it's not that strict. I mean, people have lives and businesses and family commitments and military commitments, whatever the case may be.
Why there's 5 of us.
That's why there's 5 people. You only need 3 to run the board, so that's why there's 5 people. And so if someone's out there interested and they don't think they can make every meeting, doesn't matter. Just come on forward. Okay, budget and finance. I brought up the budget and finance stuff earlier about the budget. Communications, I don't have anything to report there other than the fact that we got our ratings a little better than had in the past. Grants, Peter, anything there?
Nothing at this time.
And did I miss House and Apparatus, Peter, House and Apparatus?
Sure. Just an update on our project in Tuckahoe. There was a delay, but we finally got the survey done, so that is now in the hands of the engineer, who's working diligently on his drawings, plans, as well as bid packages. We hope that he is going to be completed with his work the week of October 20th, at which point we'll prepare the necessary notifications and put the project out for competitive bid. One thing that, we are kind of leaning towards now after consulting with our attorneys, we thought initially we would put this thing out for bid and have a 20-day period for bids to come back. Our attorneys feel strongly that really 30 days is the right number to get the strongest bid possible and the broadest number of people coming back with bids. So that's what we'll probably do. When you consider the timeline here of potentially getting the engineer's work done by the 20th of October, probably a week to 10 days to prepare the information to put out for bid, and then a 30-day wait period, clearly we're now in early December. So it does seem like there is a possibility that this project may not commence until the spring, depending on the weather. We're still hopeful that maybe we can accelerate it a little bit and still try to get it done before the colder weather, but it's looking like, the odds are increasing that we may get everything just teed up, ready to go, but might not commence work until the spring.
Okay. If we end up in that direction, we maybe want to, blacktop holds up pretty well for the winter, doesn't it? And you could just hit that curb with the sidewalks with blacktop, maybe. Because the summertime is when it doesn't hold up. Wintertime, it holds up better. Health and wellness, Jerry's not here. Peter, do you have anything there? I know we went to a meeting about a month back, and the chief seems to be working through the health and wellness list that he got. Anything?
Yeah, I have nothing at this time.
Okay, so now, tonight's board topics, we discussed most of them already, was the budget. We have an unfilled mechanics position. The board has been working with council and with the union. We think we're pretty close on an agreement. I have a draft that I just saw tonight that we'll give to the union to take a look at, and they can come back and comments, and that'll start that dance to see how close we get. Hopefully it'll be pretty close to being finalized. We talked about the ramp in Tuckahoe. I don't have any other business to talk about tonight. Any gentlemen have new business?
We don't have any bills, right?
Nope. Assistant Chief Stupple, do you have anything for us tonight, or?
With the lack of a mechanic in place, I've solicited a proposal to have a maintenance agreement put in on the generators for you gentlemen to consider, because one of them is 7 years old now and they're due for major preventative action. So something for you to consider along with your mechanic. In the news, there's been a lot of talk about the Ebola scares that's coming up, and Captain Dempsey has taken the initiative to take preemptive action. We've taken once again, preventative actions necessary to protect our personnel from exposure. Field companies have been issued additional protective gear. We have a circular going out, which I have a copy for you, and they're being trained today and over the next 4 days to refresh them on their protective gear. And that's about it, I believe.
Regarding the protective gear, we may want to check on the stock of protective gear we have. In other words, the likelihood of needing is probably very, very low, but extremely low, I would hope and think. But I don't know how much the protective suits we actually keep in stock, how many we warehouse, but we may want to.
Well, with the hazmat squad that we have, there's quite a bit of higher level gear, and what they are suggesting, the CDC is suggesting that we have basically splash-proof protective envelopes, gowns, eye protection, breathing protection, gloves, boots, things like that, and we have those in place. And like I said, the higher end stuff we have many, many sets of, so they're always available to us.
Okay, that's all good. All good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Sean, Local 916 report?
Don't have a report, but I just have 2 comments.
Well, sure.
Good evening. Sean Stewart, President of Local 916 and a resident of North End of Eastchester. I just heard what Peter said, but just for the record, Frank DeMarco, the DPW, Tuckahoe DPW boss, called, and he just was a little concerned about what was going on with the ramp and the sidewalk. So I'll let him know what's going on, but he wanted to know if he could contact somebody. I know he said he talked.
Oh, he can call me anytime he wants. Give him my cell phone number, he can call
All
me.
right, because he was concerned. I said there was going to be some type of proposal tonight, but he just wanted to let you know for the record they were concerned because they got a couple of complaints down in the village about the condition of the sidewalk and the ramp, because there's a lot of foot traffic when people go back and forth to the train station.
Right, we understand that, but the problem we have, it's much like the fire district election thing we had tonight. We're bound by New York state law to operate in a certain format.
Right.
And we can only pay the fellow doing the election $50, and he's probably going to put in 50 hours. And here, we can't go out to bid and overnight. Like if this was your or my house or anybody up here's house or a business, you would call up a contract to get 3 quotes and you'd have the cement poured in a week. We can't do that. We have to go out and get the engineer's report, because under New York state law, if you're going to do any work, you have to have an engineer sign off on it. It's actually under educational law. And then after they sign off on it, then you've got to go out for a public bid, and that public bid has a cure period, and we're finding out it's 30 days for the cure period. Right. So we would love to rush it, but we're bound by these constraints. And so we may, if we figure it out that this thing's going to run into next year, maybe working with the village, we can figure out how to just blacktop that sidewalk smooth, knowing we're just going to rip it up in the springtime.
All right,
And
well,
that might be
like
the
I
quick
said,
answer.
he just called, and I said there was something in the works, and I would find out tonight, and I'll let him know, but I'll have him get in touch with you then.
Yeah, I mean, if we can work something out with them like that, that'd be a good thing.
Okay?
The sidewalk doesn't extend in front of the ramp. So
It's up on that corner there by
Yeah,
the
it's on
sewer.
corner. So we might be able to do something there and set up a detour area, but really pedestrians shouldn't be walking on the ramp anyway. So,
Well, I'll put it to you this way, and I'm not breaking your chops, but somebody wants to catch the train, they want to go from point A to B. Anything in the middle, police car, bus, fire engine, it don't matter. They're going from point A to B, and you can't be in their way. So it's just something I've learned over the years here, but I'll let them know, and I'll have Frank contact.
Well, do we have, like, sawhorses or warning,
there were barricades that
Yeah,
were
they're
put
right
up so that people know to walk
Yeah.
around the areas
Right.
that are damaged and.
let's make sure that the crews that are there are actually make sure they're up.
They're up. They're up. And
They're up, I'm just,
well signed.
it's just that there was
Okay.
a few complaints, but
The personal-
let them know that you're moving forward, and I'll have them get a hold of Dennis.
It's the personal injury lawyer in me, just trying to be a little cautious because, I don't know, I didn't see that.
And the second comment or question I have is,
have
I
pictures?
brought it up last year about the budget and the overtime. And there was discussion and it was agreed, whatever the number is, you come up with the number. He said last year it was too low, and this year I think it's too low, and here's why. And you just proved it, okay? Your budget is $500,000, correct? Okay, if you back out contractual overtime and the money that you just moved over for fire prevention, your budget basically comes down to $326,000 in overtime, all right, which is kind of a very low number. So my question then is, this budget that you proposed tonight that's going to be discussed on cannot go up, it can only go down. Now, if there is a problem in the future, is there monies there to fund that budget? Again, this last year, we were pretty okay as far as emergencies. There was a difference of opinion over what stays in service and what stays out. I don't want to hold anybody to that right now. There's something down the road. But if you do have emergencies down the road with disasters, you will not have enough money to cover,
Your point's
personnel.
well taken. I know, but in the past 12 months, maybe even a little longer, we have not had any real, like FEMA-type emergencies.
No, that's what I'm talking
We've had times, I remember one time there was a leg went out in one of the power lines up by California Road, and the whole neighborhood where all the houses, every house on the street had its service panel pop at the same time, right? And that was a lot of overtime for about a week there or something for some period of time. And you get storms where there are a lot of overtime for a period of time, and we have not had those. I agree. But we do have a surplus in our budget. Not surplus in our budget. We do have reserve funds, so we have reserve funds. If we run into a problem we could go into tap. So if you had a real calamity or a disaster, I think the fire department is perfectly well situated to get to fund anything we have if we had a calamity. I'm pretty comfortable we are.
Okay, all right, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Volunteer report, is there any tonight?
Commissioners, Anthony Fiore. Anthony Laurie couldn't make it tonight, so he asked me to come down, just jot down a few things. All right. Actually, the two recruits, two volunteers that want to come in is Joe Gentile and Anthony Spinelli.
Okay, good.
They submitted applications a while ago, but it seems that they were brought up to the office up here. And so they got, I don't know what happened to them.
We haven't seen them.
I haven't seen them. Okay.
No. Oh, there is new regulations going into effect on background checks for volunteers for fire departments as of December 1st, I think we should be mindful of. Are you familiar? Yeah. There's some new regulation on background checks for volunteers or even employees of fire departments and public employees. Required background work.
So if they're not around, they have to fill new ones out again.
That courtesy of the NFL, yeah.
Okay.
All right. You also want me to ask you about photo IDs? Volunteers getting photo IDs?
Yeah, well, there was some discussion on that, and one of the points that came up was we've never gotten the financials for any of the fire fellows. It's like a quid pro quo. And so we would like to see the financials and see the stability before we start handing out ID cards. I think that's fair. Do you guys think that's fair?
Yeah.
And
Right,
so,
okay, so I'll write
and,
down
it'd be helpful if you could just get us your last 2 years' financials would be a wonderful thing. And then we'll see and then we'll get a list of who the current members are.
Right.
And get some accountability of who the members are, what their attendance has been, and then we'll figure out who's entitled to cards.
Okay.
Yeah, once we do that, we can actually set up a one-day, have everybody there and do it all at once.
Right.
Okay, so you want the
Yeah,
last...
and the idea is to try to get the volunteers in a different place than they are today, in a better place, I'll put it that way. And board's not against volunteers, we just like to see us in a more cohesive, kind of organized, standard manner. We don't know if we have that today.
Okay, all right. We got that. One more thing, I guess physicals is the same thing?
Excuse me?
Trying to get physicals? The department doctor, you want to find out who...
Yeah, well, we have to know who's going for the physical and who they are and a little bit about them. I mean, in the past, we've had people go to the physical deep into their 60s and, older, and they're going up for a volunteer physical when they're probably aged out of the department at that point in time. So we want to know who they are going for the physicals and where are they in their training? Now, sometimes you need a physical before you go get the training, so it's I don't know where we are first, but we need to know, okay, we have these 10 volunteers, here are their names, here are the date of births, here's where they live, and here's the amount of training they have, this is their last physical, and just start from the beginning, basically.
And we'll send them out.
Yeah, and there's no objection to it. We don't want anybody training that is not fit, and that's
All right.
because we get these, Jerry put us on a list, Politano, of these National Fire, what are they called, National Fire Service
Yeah.
emails that you get every day. And every day there's a horrible tragedy about some firefighter dying. Most of the time, these are people who die of somewhat natural causes, and they're not really, they're volunteers who die of natural causes that, coming back. There are tragedies all the time, of firemen dying, but it seems many of the deaths are heart-related, what I'm trying to say, maybe not saying it well. And it's and it's like an everyday event.
So, okay, and the deputy chief's got to give you the names of these? Of the individual have to go for physicals?
Yeah, well, we should get all the name and information be on one sheet of paper, hopefully,
Okay.
with their email addresses, their contact information, all the pertinent information you would think that you would want to have. You can give a copy to the assistant chief or the chief, or even the treasurer, and they will get it to us. If you want to email it to the board, which is the most ideal thing to do, is just email it to commissioners@eastchesterfd.com or winter@eastchesterfd.com. And if you just email it off to us, we'll have it instantly.
All right, so that's a deputy chief thing. He does all that. That's it.
Okay, well, hopefully this can move forward. We'd like to get you your stuff, but at the same time, we need the others, we need it as well.
Before you step down, Anthony, thanks for coming out tonight and giving the report.
I was coming anyway, just Anthony couldn't make it. So.
I know you're a pretty regular attendee at these things, so I appreciate that. What's the fix on the 2 volunteers that came in, Gentile, and what was the other one? I didn't catch the
Anthony Spinelli.
Spinelli.
Yeah, they were at the meeting, but they filled out applications, and I guess they seemed to got lost.
So do we have new applications for them, or
So now they have to, I guess, have to fill new ones out again.
and what happens after they fill out the applications? Keep in mind what...
We're going to make copies this time.
Okay, but outside of internal record keeping, which is a good thing, if we're running up against a possible deadline where we've got to, like, do background checks and all that other stuff...
No, this is a normal, bringing on a volunteer is a normal exercise. What happens is they submit an application to the chief.
Right.
The chief takes it and usually processes it himself, or maybe the assistant chief gets involved. And then they, if the chief approves it, the application comes to the board. It's a card type of thing.
Right.
It gets signed off by the chief, and then the board votes to bring the person in.
Okay.
And then we issue them a badge that night, and a lot of times, that's the last time you see the person.
Well, we're going to see differently now, because I know these guys are motivated, I know he's on the job.
Yeah, when I came on, it only took me 3 months to get here.
Right.
Okay.
That's it. Application, physical, everything else, background check, board, how you doing? That was it. 3 months.
Right. No, we can do it that way too, again. It's just we need to
Okay.
start the process.
Just keep me posted, okay? And we'll talk offline, because I want to, I know one of them from the Boy Scouts, so I also want to make sure that if we're going to start bringing things around, we're going to start cultivating the next crop of superheroes. All right?
All right.
Thanks, Anthony.
Okay. Board member, oh, we got the bills to pay, which I didn't drag out yet. Sorry, gentlemen.
I asked you if we had bills, you said no.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Kind of reviewing.
So we have a few bills.
Great.
We'll end the meeting before we pay the bill. We'll just go off camera before we do that. Board member comments? Anybody would like to speak at this point? There's not much to speak. So at this point in time, we are going to review the bills tonight, which are a total of $124,092. Excuse me, $124,902.81. So $124,902.81. The board will be reviewing those and more than likely approving them, but we'll do that in a few minutes. At this point in time, we can say goodnight, and we'll adjourn the meeting after we pay the bills, but good night, and we'll let the technician end the video. Thank you for attending, and have a nice month.